Hey everyone, and welcome to Season 3, Episode 5 of Around the Verse. I'm Miles Eckhart, lead designer here at Foundry 42 Wilmslow.
And I'm QA tester, Mickey Oliver.
And the big news this week is 2.5 is live for all the backers. If you haven't grabbed it yet, make sure you head to the launcher and check it out. And congrats to the whole team on getting this patch out, including all the backers who worked so hard to help us test the builds and get everything stable.
Definitely a big thanks to the backers and the avocados on the PTU. Working in QA, I know what a struggle it is to get through all those bugs, but the fact we have so many players looking at it has really helped us identify the issues, so thank you.
Yeah, and 2.5 brings some great new change to the alpha. There's a new landing system that makes touching down a lot easier. And there's also 2 new ships to fly.
We have the Argo Utility Craft and the Reliant Core. Both are quite different ships than we already have in the game, so it's really exciting to see them in and flight ready as well.
Yeah, but the biggest addition has to be our new location, Grim Hex. Outlaws finally have a place they can call home.
With it comes outlaw-themed stores, which includes outlaw armor and guns. And we also have some more clothing, which is counterculture shirts and bandanas, that sort of thing.
Nice. And having reasons for the player to explore has been one of the core directives for Star Citizen. If you want this piece of clothing, then you might have to fly to this specific store. So Mickey, this is something you've been helping out with, I believe. Yes,
I've made a PU clothing wardrobe, which is for the designers, so they can see all the clothing that's been completed by the art team. So if they want to dress a character, they'll look through all the shirts available and all the pants, mix and match, and this is how a lot of the NPCs in Levski were dressed for the demo.
Yeah, I had to dress Miles Eckhart the other
Yes.
week, and that was easy.
That was unusual.
Yeah, no, it was really handy. So in addition to 2.5, we also have the monthly subscriber town hall held right here at Foundry 42.
Yes, members of our audio team have been taking live questions from the subscribers. To find out a bit more about what Foundry 42 has been up to this week, here's Nick Elms with this week's studio update.
Let's check out his shirt this week.
Hi everyone, welcome to another UK update. We really hope you enjoyed the Gamescom demo as much as we did. We're just getting back to action for you now, and we're going to start today with Will Maiden talking to you guys who want to be budding cargo haulers or pirates or salvagers about the basics of the cargo system.
Okay, so for 3.0 we're going to have the ability to pick up a box, take it to your ship, put it in your ship, and take that ship to market. So which will allow us to sell whatever you find. Now it's going to either come from salvage, ships you find out in the debris field, stuff you take off other people's ships that you pirate, stuff you're going to get given on missions. You can also go to the market, pick up whatever you want to buy, whatever they're selling. That'll automatically be put in your ship, and then you can take and sell that as well. So that we're hoping to get all sorts of trade routes. Buy stuff from here, sell it to there, take stuff from there, go somewhere else. Traders will go to a port and they will just buy from a computer 200, 300 units of steel or whatever, and that will automatically be generated on your ship. So they have a really quick time of just buying what they want, getting back into space and trading. Whereas salvage players, pirates, they can physically walk up to a box, pick it up, manually take it over to their ship, or take it to a market and sell it. So they have a much more lengthy gameplay, but it should be fun for them to be able to see what they're taking and individually picking what they want. We've obviously already got cargo boxes built, we've got ships with interiors already set up, so we can start placing, here's where cargo will fit, here's where we can store it. So those will probably come along side by side, and then we should be good to go. Then we should be able to see very quickly, once it's down inside your ship, it gets locked to that ship. Then all we need is on the other side, markets being set up. We've already got a few at Port Olisar, Grim X. We'll be seeing some in Levski, places where you can take those items, and instead of talking to someone and buying a gun, you'll be able to say, hey, I've got 10 tons of cargo in the back, do you want to buy that? So with having trade routes, that gives us the opportunity then of pirates finding out about those trade routes, coming and camping on them, waiting for transports to come in, grab them, steal their cargo. So then we're going to have, hopefully, players wanting to protect their cargo. They start hiring mercenaries to come and protect them, and then bounty hunters to hunt down the pirates that stole off them in the first place. So hopefully, from having that initial cargo route from one to another, we should be seeing a lot more careers being built around that.
Thanks, Will. I hope you all enjoyed that, and you can see that those systems start to come online, where the gameplay possibilities are going to be expanded for you guys in the Star Citizen universe. We're going to move over now and take a look at the Ursa rover, which was one of the stars of the show.
So when I got the brief to work on the rover, basically it was my task to take Hobbit's concept of the rover that we showed in the cinematic and take it up to the new level of quality for the gameplay and the systems that we put in place. Incorporate all the cargo systems, the new weapon systems to a level that we have for the ships as well, and it was a really interesting experience to work on. But one of the main mechanics that I had to introduce was I had to find a way for it to be an off-road vehicle with enough ground clearance to be off-road capable, and also for it to fit into the Constellation cargo ramp, which it was shown in the cinematic. Problem being that the Constellation cargo base is not really fit for a 6-wheeled, super big sort of rover vehicle. So I had to come up with a mechanics system that the wheels basically fold onto the body of the vehicle and then deploy when it needs to go outside or when it does its off-road duties. That, as well as a deployable turret that deploys via a rail system to get the rover be able to clear the ramp of the Constellation.
So basically York provided a few concept images that he'd done a paint over of, and then I took that into Max and sort of cleaned it up as best I could, and then we sort of model on top of that. And then from there we just refine the mesh and start adding geometry to get a better idea of how it all works. And then on this particular one, because the space was so tight, I also animated it as I was going along, so there were certain shapes I had to change so that it could fold up and work.
So the cockpit's interior consists of 2 chairs, 1 pilot, 1 navigator. Both consoles for both people sort of fold away, allowing more sort of leg room to get in and get out. When the pilot will get in, the console will slide away and then sort of rebuild itself around the pilot to sort of get in and drive kind of thing. The cargo bay area consists of fold-away seats, weapon lockers. It's got a couple of access points, so the 4 sort of standing crew can come in and out as they want kind of thing. It sort of helps the planetary sort of aspect of Star Citizen sort of come alive a bit more, because you can get to the planet's surface and you can explore more than you could if you were on foot. So say you wanted to get from one place to another without the rover, you'd end up having to either get back in your ship and sort of fly up into sort of atmosphere and then come back down again, which you might miss something interesting like a ravine or something, a crater with some sort of interesting building or something in it. Whereas with the rover you can sort of drive around and get much more sort of in-depth information on the terrain and stuff, and possibly find something more interesting than if you were just flying around the atmosphere or orbiting kind of thing. Up till now, we've only had sort of the Grey Cat buggy, and it's not been sort of a multi-crew vehicle, whereas this is a larger sort of, so you can get your friends, you can go down to the planet's surface and you can sort of rove around. You can even do sort of drive-by shootings if you want to and have the back door open and 2 guys crouched down with machine guns while you're sort of driving around, which is pretty cool.
Yes, I got to QA test the rover and it's really fun to drive across all the vast planets, new planets that we've got. And I loved seeing it going against the Dragonfly at Gamescom. It's really
awesome.
cool.
And to give us a more in-depth look at what it took to hatch the Dragonfly, let's go to Paul Jones and his team.
So the Dragonfly was basically, a new category of vehicle for Star Citizen. We'd worked with small spaceships, 1-seater, 2-seater, multi-crew. The ships were just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and that was working for the universe. But now with 3.0 coming up and us sort of going planet side, which we've just shown in the demos, Chris really was pushing for a personal vehicle, basically, essentially a space motorcycle, like a space hog. And so with that in mind, the Dragonfly is kind of like the perfect candidate, because its styling is a little bit, it's a little bit lowbrow, it's quite mechanical, especially, we've just been dealing with the Caterpillar. And so, we work with those requirements, and the design team, with their brief that they gave us, they want something small, something that can hover above land, something that also can fly in space, you know, so you can just boot it out of the back of your freelancer. And so this was a lot of fun. So, you know, this was a brand new, you know, again, it was like carte blanche almost. And so this is always what us art guys want, and what the concept guys want. And so you'll see today that, you know, through the process, how we've developed it.
This ship was interesting to design first because it's small, it's allowed it to go everywhere on ground, on planets, and we can also go in space with it, so it has different functionality, contrary to some other ships that are bigger or different. So the Drake manufacturer is also interesting because of this kind of low-tech industrial look. So it was also a challenge to try to do something iconic, but with a not too design bike. So it was really interesting to do.
So the Dragonfly was challenging at times purely because there's so many kind of exposed components to it that basically it means that it becomes a lot more kind of expensive as an asset. With a lot of the bigger ships, you can hide components away, whereas with the Dragonfly, everything's exposed, so you have to model everything. There's no smoke and mirrors here.
Essentially, when I get given the model from the guys in the art team, my job is essentially to start breaking that down into the separate items, such as thrusters and all the general parts of the ship itself, such as the nose, the body, and beginning to break them to make them detachable and add damage effects and things like that. Overall, we begin just by doing like a real rough white box flyable state on it. So we'll just get the model flying before we start breaking it all up. In the Gamescom demo, we essentially showed off the kind of basic setup of the ground mode and also the space flight mode, where we were essentially showing it going off in space, landing inside the freelancer, going planet side, going out again, and being usable in its ground mode. We have a lot more to add to that. So we're doing further work on the ground mode flight system, just really tweaking it, making sure that it feels spot on when you're riding along the planet. In addition, we also need to set up the rear seat for a rear-facing passenger. So you will essentially have your buddy on the back just running along with you, and we are eventually going to implement them being able to hold a weapon. So while you're in any chase sequences or modes, you're essentially able to have your guy at the back shooting people off who are approaching from behind. And the final thing that we're looking to implement is a third mode that the Dragonfly has, which is a compact mode, where essentially the ship's nacelles retract, and it basically enables you to store it in its smallest possible state on any of your cargo ships.
I went with Harley Davidson for the kickstart sound originally, which was heavily processed, obviously, to just get that kind of okay, it's a motorbike, but heavily processed. And then it was a matter of finding out essentially what made motorbikes different from cars or spaceships or airplanes. It's the sort of connectedness with the environment, right? You're sort of racing along really near the floor, so the ground rush, particles, rocks, anything like that, that's going to hurt if you hit it hard enough, and the wind rush and stuff. I really wanted to get all of that stuff in there for the Dragonfly, so it was in stark contrast with all the other ships and vehicles we had in the game. The planet-side stuff, the in-atmosphere flight, the sort of terrain traversal in wheeled vehicles and hover vehicles like the Dragonfly, I think provide a brilliant contrast between what we're used to, the sort of the space travel aspect, where you've got points of sound, very sharp, contrasty points of sound, very clean in the void. And then on planet side, we've got this much more grounded. When there's an explosion, it's going to echo around in canyons. You feel closer to the ground. You feel much like footsteps, different surfaces, surface types and stuff. You're going to have to feel that through the vehicle, you know. And it just gives I think it's a case of the total is greater than the sum of the parts, really, because the space travel and the planet side stuff, and those two things contrasting with each other, I think, just sort of reinforce each other. So it's kind of picking what we can emphasize, like the ground effect stuff, like echoey stuff off canyons and mountains and things like that, to give you a sense of where you are. And the two things will provide a brilliant much enhanced experience, I think, to just space flight, you know.
So I can honestly say the Drake Dragonfly has been my favourite ship to work on so far, just because of adding new things that we've never done before in there. And I'm really looking forward to seeing our backers get their hands on it and do all kinds of crazy stuff while on planets.
Speaking of great content, a ton of the backers have been working on their own Star Citizen related projects. To tell us the latest, here's Tyler Whitcomb with this week's community update.
Hey everyone, Tyler Whitkin, Community Manager in the Austin, Texas studio, here to bring you this week's community update. First and foremost, patch 2.5 is now live and available to all backers. This patch brings a whole slew of new content, bringing us one step closer to the gaming experience that we've all been craving. 2.5 release sale will continue through Tuesday, September 6th. We are really excited to introduce the Misk Reliant and a pair of Argo variants. We believe these ships bring a unique twist to our current lineup of available ships and look forward to seeing you fly them in the verse. And if you're looking for some additional stopping power, make sure to check out the all-new Bearing M7A laser cannon, available now with patch 2.5. Since 2.5 released live on August 25th, we have seen a lot of awesome content posted on the Community Hub, YouTube, and Reddit, and we're looking to feature more gameplay videos from you, the backers, so keep them coming. As far as content goes this week, make sure to explore the Baker system with senior writer Will Weisbaum in an all-new episode of Lore Maker's Guide to the Galaxy, which was posted on Tuesday. Yesterday we had our subscribers town hall with the UK audio team that is definitely worth checking out, and remember that these are a great opportunity for subscribers to jump in and get their questions answered. And this week would not be complete without an update to our sub vault, which will add some additional pictures to take a look at the early Anvil Terrapin. Looking ahead, all of our studios have been coming together to finalize August's monthly report, which should be in your hands later next week, so look forward to that. Unfortunately, we're not going to be at DragonCon this year, but we hope everyone attending has a great time and hopefully we'll be there with you next year. Lastly, it's time for this week's MVP award. A huge congratulations to Elisiana for her extraordinary efforts in creating ContentCreatorsUnlimited.com. If you have even the slightest interest in Star Citizen's lore, then you will easily find yourself entranced within the pages of detailed information and lore tidbits, all extracted from our web-based ARC star map and into an easy-to-read table format. So, congratulations again, you're this week's MVP. Originally, we were not going to have an RTV tomorrow, but all the pieces fell into place and it's a go. So we will catch you live tomorrow on twitch.tv. Make sure to check the weekly Comlink schedule for all the details. We hope you have a nice holiday and we'll see you in the verse.
Staying with ships a little longer, another highlight from the 3.0 demo was the Starfarer wreck. The ship team put so much work into making the vehicles look great. It's fantastic how amazing they can look when they're all blown up.
Let's take a behind-the-scenes look at the work that went into taking the Starfarer from space-worthy to scrap-worthy.
Myself and Chris have had quite a few discussions regarding the dead ships. We were also quite both passionate about having planets that are potentially completely dedicated to ship salvage. So with the derelict ships, there's always, as explained, we want to take the stuff that already exists in the game, which are broken up parts of the ships that once the ship suffers catastrophic damage, it breaks apart. How can we reuse these assets and kind of be very creative with them? The stuff that you saw in Gamescom was very much the first step of that. We are already progressing further with it. So the work that we're doing, as we've always explained, has always got a longer path. Obviously, we've got kind of 3.0 coming due at the end of the year. The work that we're doing does fit into that. Again, it's really kind of about kind of creating these options for design to have. So if you come across a derelict ship in space, don't be shocked. It's not a bug. It was always supposed to be there. It's something that we want to push more. The stuff in space is I wouldn't say it's easier. Because the dressing of all that is you don't have to worry about like impact points and all that kind of stuff. It's there. If you think about the opening to episode 7, where you see a lot of kind of derelict Star Destroyers and whatnot in the desert, we can totally kind of focus on doing that, and the asset hit and essentially man hours work that go into that are fundamentally less now. So we've got kind of challenges how we are going to blend them with the terrain. The terrain is very much kind of early days, but I'm very excited to kind of experiment with what would happen if we took a Starfarer and buried it in a desert. How something erodes and decays in a desert is very different to how something would erode and decay in a swamp. So you've got those challenges to think about as well. But the high level goal is for sure to have these in space by the end of the year. And then when the planetary tech kind of comes more on board, then we can kind of start collaborating with design and the environment guys and get these nice pieces on planets for you as well.
Well, that's our show for this week. Thanks to the subscribers that made it possible, and to the backers who are supporting us, and to all the devs that took some time to show us what they were working on.
Yeah, we've got so much great stuff in the pipeline. Working 2.6 and 3.0 is well underway, and not to mention CitizenCon is just around the corner in October.
I bet the Squadron 42 team is really excited to show off their stuff, as well as the backers are to see it.
Yeah, for sure. We just need to top 3.0.
Yes.
Right, finally, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on
Around the Verse.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.